Now, if you ever wondered why Trump has the portrait of Andrew Jackson hanging on his wall, it is because Andrew Jackson got rid of the central bank and he drained the swamp. Jackson stood up to the elites. And when I start going over what Jackson did, just substitute Trump's name. And boy, does it sound similar. Jackson had surrounded himself with thinking men like Martin Van Buren, Francis Preston Blair, Amos Kendall, and few others, and other leading lights of his day, who gave political and policy form to his Jeffersonian instincts. Jackson embraced the Jeffersonian notion that the government needed to get out of people's way. While Jackson was not the political theorist and wordsmith that Jefferson was, he did offer a coherent worldview to the American people, and in many ways, he was a far greater leader. The basic outline of the Jacksonian creed was simple, and it had a lasting impact on the course of the nation. The first plank of Jackson's political philosophy was that entrenched interests in places of power can become dangerous to the liberties of the American people. Jackson believed that civil servants who tended to see their office as their own private property had wiggled their way into comfy positions in Washington, D.C., and had become slothful, incompetent, and in many cases corrupt. He intended to drain the swamp. In his first annual message to Congress, Jackson explained his philosophy. In a country where offices are created solely for the benefit of the people, no one man has any more intrinsic right to official station than another. Offices were not established to give support to particular men at the public expense. Jackson's solution was not to give away handouts, nor to have the government control business, which he would have seen as an economic folly and un-American, but instead to sever the corrupt ties between business and government whenever possible. Jackson gave one of his most eloquent denunciations of crony capitalism in his message to the nation on his veto of the Second Bank of the United States Charter. That is the central bank. That's the second central bank here in the United States. Now, Jackson worried that it had become too powerful and unaccountable. Indeed, many politicians were on the bank's payroll. It is to be regretted that the rich and powerful too often bend the acts of government to their selfish purpose. When the laws undertake to add to these natural and just advantages artificial distinctions, the humble members of society, the farmers, the mechanics, and laborers, who have neither the time nor the means of securing like favors to themselves, have a right to complain of the injustice of their government. Jackson relied even more heavily on the concept of peace through strength, to quote a favorite phrase of Ronald Reagan's. Jackson was willing to threaten to unleash American military force even against superior foes in order to get diplomatic concessions out of other countries that he felt were treating the United States unfairly. The United States was not embroiled in any major war during Jackson's presidency, and the country secured more trade agreements than under any previous administration. Now, the establishment called him incompetent. He didn't know what he was doing, but his supporters cheered him on. Jacksonian populism did not destroy America. It energized it. While Jackson had its contemporary detractors, the country was stronger when he left the presidency than it had been before his ascent to the office. He had achieved enormous success, and perhaps just as important, he staved off worrying trends that endangered the republic. Jackson was an honest, dedicated son of the founding who used his presidency to restore what he saw as the original Republican vision for the country, while acting as the great protector from both internal and external threats to the Union. Now, if you take what Jackson did here, like I said in the beginning of this report, and you replace Jackson's name with Trump, you can understand what is going on and why Trump has Andrew Jackson hanging on his wall. He's on a mission, and he's going to restore the republic, just like Jackson did. And you can see he's battling the Fed. Jackson battled the second central bank. Jackson renegotiated trade deals. threatened other nations with military force to make sure we were on an even playing field, removed those corrupt individuals. This is what we're watching right now. This is the plan.